How would you explain the drastic difference between the wrathful Old Testament God and the loving New Testament God?
The wrathful God of the Old Testament over against the benevolent and the gracious God of the New. It's a false dichotomy. If you really look at the Old Testament, you have to first see what it is that was being accomplished there. The moral law was given to a people with a dynamic attendance of the supernatural and the miraculous. If you go through the Exodus, punctuated miracles. The time of creation, the time of Moses, the time of the prophets like Elijah and Elisha. You move on to the time of John the Baptist and the early church. Those are the classic periods of miracles. And when the dramatic disclosure of God was attended by such incontrovertible evidence, like food coming from the heavens to take care of you every day, a double portion coming before the Sabbath, when the waters are teared, when the bitterness is taken away, when the dead are raised like Lazarus and so on in the New Testament, in proportion to the nature of the dramatic miracle was the rightful expectation of compliance and obedience. Because if you don't obey in the face of such a dramatic revelation, you will never obey no matter what happens. That's the first thing I want you to know. Second thing is that God was building a covenant people through whom he was going to disclose himself. But in that covenant relationship, you hear such extraordinary statements. You see, for example, in Isaiah, I think the parable of the vineyard there, where he says, "What more could I have done for you that I have not already done? Wherefore, when you're looking for grapes, when I'm looking for grapes, why do you bring forth wild grapes?" When you look at the book of Hosea, it is the most magnificent exposition of the love of God. How do we know that? Because here's a prophet by the name of Hosea who marries a woman by the name of Gomer who turns out to be a prostitute. Imagine being Hosea and looking for your wife in the heart of the city, and you see a lineup of men who are standing outside the brothel to buy her for an hour's pleasure. And Hosea stands in line to buy his wife back for a day's rations and half the price of a slave of that time. He brings his wife back. Imagine that feeling of the one you have loved becoming a harlot. And yet what does God say to him? "I command you to go and love that woman, beloved of her adulterers." It's the ultimate expression of grace. So when you say it's a hard concept of law and judgment, no. We are missing the proportion of the revelation and miracle that God is expecting a response to it. And we are missing the fact that he loved them so much. And in the last book of the Old Testament, Malachi, it begins by saying, "I have loved you," and yet you say, "In what way have you loved us?" The love of God is the central feature of the Old and the New Testament.